Shall we begin?
Why not? Welcome to FrankieSense More. It's like she's got a whole lot of goodness for you with a little bit of sass.
Frankie, did you just say...
She sure did. Not to mention, along with...
Whoops.
Join us now as Frankie Picasso and her new co-host mix it up with authors, musicians, and interviews with world-changing people.
Let's begin now.
Okay, let's begin now, because it only makes sense.
And hello there, and welcome to FrankieSense More. What a pleasure it is to be with you today. It's a rainy day here for me, but hopefully the sun is shining for the rest of you, wherever you are in the world. Hey, sometimes we need rain. I wanted to give a shout out before I start the show to Lisa Dickey. Lisa, you might remember, was featured on my show Mission Unstoppable. Her show was titled How to Live and Die Like a Superhero. Well, today, yay, Lisa is receiving her last chemo treatment. She has had something like 10, and unfortunately, though, yesterday, Lisa fell and broke her tibia. Now, this is a result of her muscular dystrophy. The chemo and the steroids have made her legs weak, and she has about 10% capacity of strength in them. So please join me in sending her love and smiles and prayers for healing and a quick recovery from today's chemo session and for her broken limb. We love you, Lisa. Matt, Julia, Katie, my other good friend has promised today, she had promised Lisa actually that on the last day of chemo, she would show up at the hospital in a tutu and sit with her. And if you know what she looks like, you would be laughing too. But it's wonderful. And chemo was tough, and it's wonderful that we both share such an amazing friend who's willing to get silly and make her laugh. So I can't wait for those pictures. Margaret, the one thing I do love about Lisa, though, was her blog. And Lisa really loves to write. And it was through her stories that really showed me who she was as a woman and a wife and a mother, and just a woman of great strength of character, and someone who has just a wonderful wit and sense of humor. And it was because of those blogs that I invited her on the show. And I think this is a really great segue to my first guest, Malaika Gilani, because she is also someone who is passionate about writing. Malaika hails from Pakistan by way of Melbourne, Australia today. She's a 16-year-old grade 12 student who says she's a passionate fan of the written word. She seems like a normal teenager. She likes to read. She loves photography, eating, playing badminton, watching cricket. She loves traveling with her family, and she thinks that's fun. Well, that might not be so normal. But her family includes a twin brother, 2 other siblings, an older sister and a younger sister, and of course her parents. Welcome, Malaika. It's 3 a.m. for you people, so it's for her. So, be kind. How are you?
Hi, Frankie. Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor to be compared to people such as Lisa. I mean, seriously, I haven't even done anything that great.
Well, you know what really got me about you was just how passionate you are about what you're doing, how you weren't going to take no for an answer. You're very determined to get your book out there, to get your message out there. And I think that's really extraordinary for such a young person. I admire you. I really do.
Thank you.
Where does it come from, Malaika? Where does this passion to write and to give a message, such a beautiful message to the world? I mean, let's tell folks, your book is called, and it's published now, and it's called, what is your book called? I just lost it here.
Untold
Journeys. That's right. Untold Journeys. And it's a book of poems, and it's really a real slice of life. There's everything in there, from love to broken love to just, how you feel about your parents and your dad. And it's really nice. I mean, I read that poem about your dad, and I started to cry. Like, oh, that's how I feel about my dad. Yeah, he's just like the best. So, how did it start? Where did it come from, this idea that, and it's interesting because I just finished an anthology with 20 other women, and our book was called I Bared My Chest, and it was all about the untold stories too that we hold back from showing people about ourselves, and they're lessons for life for people who are going to read it. So it's interesting. There's a little bit of a parallel there.
The thing is, I started writing in year 8. It was because of a school project. It was for the same thing. I was a peer counselor, and I wanted people to get their stories out there. People who weren't who felt like they didn't have a voice that was big enough to, so I just decided to project their voices.
Now, when you say present their voices, you're talking about the stories, the untold stories that they hold. I mean, you start off the description of your book says, everybody has a chapter in their life that they don't read out loud, and that you look at people and you think that they're prettier and more graceful than you, that they look happy and successful and carefree. But by looking at people, we don't really know who they are. Like everybody kind of wears a mask and walks around the world with a persona that might not actually be the real them. And so you're looking beyond that. Is that kind of where it is for you?
It's
Like you're looking
sort
at
of
this going,
like people act like they're perfect, but when you come to know them, those people who you're like, oh, that person's so perfect, I want to be like them. When you actually get to know them, you realize that they're not perfect and they have problems as well. They just don't show them. And those problems might be similar to yours.
right. And so by telling other people's problems, the reader gets to see that they're not alone. They're not
Yeah.
unlike other people.
Yeah.
What do you have your book handy?
Yes, I do.
Good. So what's your favorite poem?
It's like it's just like picking a favorite child.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to invite you to. I know that you're sick, but if you wouldn't mind, could you read a couple for us? I'd like to. I mean, I could read them, but I think it's in your voice. It's a little bit.
My voice sounds weird right now.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I can read one. I'm reading the one that's called There Are Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
So there are bonds that break. There are bonds that are fake. There are bonds that rust. There are bonds that turn to dust. The funny thing is, we don't even have a say to which bonds would stay.
Wow. So where did that one come from?
It actually, so basically, I had like this friend, and she had, okay. So I've moved schools, but I had a friend who was really, really close. Like she had this really, really close friends. They were friends since like they were kids.
Right.
But then I don't know, some like argument or something happened, and so like I remember she would be like, oh, my friend and I were like perfect. Nothing can break us and stuff.
Yeah.
But then then I remember they had this argument and she's crying and she's like, oh, it doesn't matter how long you've known a person and like, silly things can. So it was basically from that.
Okay. Now there's quite a few in there about boys. Is this your own life or other girls that told you stories?
Other girls. I stay away from that thing.
You do?
High school is enough trouble by itself. I don't need more.
Now, your family moved to Australia from Pakistan in 2012. Well, what caused you guys to move? And are you going to stay there now through graduation? And
oh yeah, so mom and dad wanted like better education for us. I mean, obviously, if you study in Australia, the degree counts everywhere. So yeah, they wanted a better education for us. So I think we're going to stay.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And so I think I read somewhere that you're looking to become a doctor or work in the medical field? Yeah. What specialty are you looking at?
I was looking at forensic psychiatry. It's a lot of study, but it's worth it.
Okay. Here's a poem that I wanted to read. Feel the pain. You don't have to feel the pain ever again. Forget about all those attempts that went in vain. Instead, go dance in the rain. Let your clothes get dirty. Let the mud leave a stain. Go for quiet long walks. Dance around in your socks. As every day or any day might be your last day. You don't know if you'll see tomorrow's sun. It wouldn't matter if you weren't done. Wouldn't matter if you missed your run. Wouldn't matter if you see life in color or in black. At once you are gone, there is no coming back. Now, what was that about? Who was that for?
That was for basically when we had these really, really close family friends that I had known since I was 10 months old.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a son who was like 6 years older than us or something. So around like, I think the year before last year, so in 2015, I hadn't seen him in like 10 years. And in 2016, we got a call. He was in America. And they told us that he had an accident and he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. So it was for that.
Okay. So why is it so important to you to get this book? Like, I mean, it's published. You're in Melbourne. Like, where do you want it? Everywhere?
No, I mean, having it everywhere would be like too much, and I don't want that right now.
But you're really pushing, and I think it's great. Like I said, you're very passionate, and I know that I'm not the only person that you've reached out to get on a show and get your book out there. So what is your goal for that? Like, what do you hope to in the end?
I think in the end, whatever happens is good enough. At least I'll know I tried my best, and I think that's what matters.
Absolutely. And what do your parents think about you waking up at 3 a.m. to be on a radio show?
Oh, my mom and dad, well, they feel amazing, and they were like, you should definitely do it, and don't let up. Like, they're the reason the book is here, because they didn't let me pass up the opportunity. They're like, it's here, so take it, Malaika.
Wow. They sound like very special folks.
Sleeping right now.
Yeah, of course they are. That's awesome. It sounds like you have a really terrific family and a really close family. I have twins, boy and a girl too. So tell me about your brother. What's he like? Is he like you at all?
We have some things that are really, really like super similar, which is really creepy. I remember yesterday I was talking to a friend. She wanted to watch it. Like, I wanted her to watch this TV show, Riverdale, with me.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't. I was like, why? And she's like, because you skip too much. And I was like, okay. And she's like, you're not normal. And then she was talking to my brother, and she realized he skips a lot too. She's like, what is wrong with you guys? So it's like, it's a twin thing.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like you have a twin thing?
We're weird. Like, we have in year 12 in Australia, we have jackets.
Mm-hmm.
So the jackets have our names, like a nickname at the back. So I am Scooby-Doo and he's Shaggy.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We are going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to meet my other guest, and you're going to love her. She is an animal activist, and she's just absolutely an incredible woman. So stay tuned for Bobbi Brink coming up right after this break. Don't go anywhere, because we're coming right back.
Heck no, we're just getting warmed up. FrankieSense More will be right back after we pay the bills.
If you're ready for a big change in your work, your career, your happiness, your life, it's time for the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 Central on Toginet.com. Marla believes that with the right mindset, anything is possible. Join us as successful life coach Marla Tabaka inspires you and her clients to explore, discover, and live your dreams by developing what she calls the $1 Million Mindset. Marla will inspire you to take action on your dreams and reveal secrets to success that will help you realize your own unique power. Tune into the $1 Million Mindset for heartwarming stories with Marla Tabaka. Learn tips and tricks to building a successful business and unlock the secrets to creating a happier, more balanced life through abundant thinking and attraction power. For more information on the $1 Million Mindset, go to our website, marlatabaka.com. That's MarlaTabaka.com. It's the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 p.m. Central on Toginet.com.
It's words you never heard.
Harvey Mackay, author of the best-selling book, Use Your Head to Get Your Foot in the Door, includes job search secrets no one else will tell you. Harvey is a true ideopraxist. That's a person who puts ideas into practice. Harvey admits landing the right job can be more difficult than the job itself. And successful people can't have phonophobia. That's the fear of work. But in these economic times, it can be a necessity to make money any way you can. What's a word for using any means to make money? Quomo de quunquais. So what's the best job to have? Will Rogers once said, the best job in the country is the vice president. All he has to do is get up every day and ask, how is the president?
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my new app, Too Funny for Words.
And welcome back to FrankieSense More. Thanks for joining us and thanks for coming back. I have another amazing guest. Bobbi Brink is somebody that I have come to deeply admire. She didn't know it, but I do. She's an animal activist. She's the founder, director, and vice president of Lions, Tigers, and Bears, a sanctuary that she created to provide refuge and a safe haven for a variety of rescued exotic animals. In 1992, Bobbi Brink took a job working with a Texas breeder and an exhibitor of tigers and lions, and that turned into a nightmare. After being witness to horrible abuse firsthand, the neglect that is inflicted on these captive natives, Bobbi vowed to make a difference and to end the cycle of their indiscriminate breeding for profit. She founded Lions, Tigers, and Bears in 2002 in Alpine, California. It's a 93-acre sanctuary that she started when she stepped up and rescued 2 endangered Bengal tigers. And we'll talk about that from a neighbor who had who was just, abusing them and had neglected them. And since then, Bobbi has taken an active role in advancing legislation to protect captive exotic animals. And she works on behalf of the federal legislation, meeting with its congressional sponsors, both in California and in Washington, D.C. Admirable, to say the least. Welcome, Bobbi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm going to be honest. I do a lot of shows around animals, and I was a little bit hesitant to have you on the show when your publicist reached out. I don't like to promote people, even those with good intentions, if I feel like they're using animals inappropriately. So I reached out to my friend Rob Laidlaw from ZooCheck, and he looked into your organization. He goes, Frankie, they're amazing. They have all the accreditation. They're doing everything the right way. Feel free and, bless them and have them on the show. So I think that's
to hear.
It is good to hear. You know what? It's always good when people in your industry look at you and go, yeah, you know what? You're okay, babe. So good on you. So maybe it's a good place to start. Can you educate us on the difference between an accredited sanctuary and a non-accredited sanctuary?
Right. There, a lot of times in our country, people don't know exotic animal trade, second to drugs and weapons, right up there with human trafficking. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So people are just making a ton of money profiting off the exotic animal trade. So they'll do things like front as a sanctuary. So there's over 200 so-called sanctuaries in our country where where we've actually only got about 12 accredited big cat and 4 accredited bear sanctuaries. So, accreditation, there's 2 accreditations that accredit big cats and bears in our country. It's Global Federal Association of Sanctuaries and the American Sanctuary Association. We're accredited by both. It's the highest standard of accreditation that a sanctuary can get. And then, of course, the VBB, which is the Better Business Bureau charity.
Sure.
So what it is it's a peer review, and they pretty much go through everything, your financials, your safety, your training, how you treat your employees, how your animals are treated, and that you're actually being a true sanctuary. Because there's 4 rules. A true sanctuary will never buy, they'll never breed, they'll never sell, and they'll never trade animals.
Right. So the other 188 are like the puppy mills of sanctuaries? Is that
exactly
or something
like
similar at the zoos and petting zoos and things like that?
Well, they're trying to, get money from the public by saying they're a sanctuary, but, they're breeding. And then they'll have the babies to do the photo ops, which is really big in our country. Sure. And then, animals are going out the back door. So the public is being fooled into giving them money.
How are they actually bringing, lions and tigers into the country? How is I thought there was a law against that alone. I know, with parrots and things there are.
They don't bring them into the country. There's so many captive big cats that the most all of them are bred here.
Oh, okay.
So, perfect example, there's more tigers in the state of Texas than there are in the wild. And there's more big cats in Florida than any other place in the world.
Wow.
There's hundreds of them, that could use a new home and that are living just in deplorable conditions. There's no real federal standards across the board that people are held accountable for.
Can you take us back to that first job that you had where you saw that neglect? What were you what was the job? What were you going to do? You're all excited.
Well, I was opening a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Looking through the classified ad, and I kept seeing, looking for restaurant equipment. I'd see lions, tigers, leopards for sale in the state of Texas. And so I wanted to go check it out. So I did. And I went to a lady's house, and she had babies crawling all over her mobile home floor. She lived on 5 acres. She had about 30 big cats, all being, all breeders. And you could take one home today. So that grabbed my attention. And, no permits, no questions asked. And then I just started looking.
How much does she charge?
Further. I believe, about $800. So
the
you
price
can
of a
get
puppy.
a tiger, for cheaper than a good bred dog.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. And
started
as it grew up,
for a bear
these
guy.
Wow.
Mm.
So you looked at this and you thought, okay, I got to stop this. Is that what went through your head?
No, I didn't know anything was wrong, other than that anybody could take one home today. So I started volunteering for her. I started volunteering for a guy that had bears, and I went about my business, getting my restaurant open. And then for, years, I would work at different places or volunteer at different places, and you really see the exotic animal trade. And then my husband and I tried to help some leopards, and we had made a deal with a woman that we would completely build the leopards a habitat if she would spay and neuter and never breed, and that would be where they would live out their lifetime home. Well, we didn't even get the habitat all the way completed, and we had just put the cats into the habitat, and then they were bred. So that kind of did it. We're like, okay, we're going to just do this ourselves. We're going to do it right. We're going to do it one animal at a time, and now we're one of the top 10 sanctuaries in the country. We work all over the country. With our first responders are scared of these animals sometimes. They're not trained to go in and get a tiger out, so that's where we can help.
Right.
And, because it's dangerous and it can be scary, and I've even seen them on top of drugs or, being used so people don't go into a certain area of the property and, different things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
there was one just killed the other day in a neighborhood about an hour from me. And it's just a very suburban neighborhood. Black bear wandered in, and I guess, again, first responders didn't know what to do. So I guess the first thing they did, instead of getting, there wasn't a vet around who had anything to, sedate him with, and they shot and killed it. It's very sad.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. It breaks my heart. But, if they had somebody nearby, like you or, some expert to say, hey, I don't know why they didn't go to the zoo, but anyway, it's dangerous, right? Like you said, they're not pets. They're animals. They're wild animals. Even if they've been in a zoo, and even if they're part of an act, they're wild animals. So in your facility, go ahead. Sorry.
They can't be tamed. They can be trained, but they cannot be tamed. These animals are top of the line, apex predator. They can kill you if your neighbor has a tiger as a pet. It can be dangerous if it's not done properly.
Right. And you have a big rig that goes all around the country, and you're picking up and moving and saving animals. Like, I think that's pretty incredible.
Right.
Like, what's the most amazing, let's say, pickup that you've done?
Oh gosh, we've done so many, from getting them out of basements and garages. And the last rescue we worked on was in South Dakota, and they had over 400 animals. We moved over 200 of them across the country.
Oh my
to
goodness.
Different places as far as Florida, because when you have that many animals, not one sanctuary can take all the animals.
That's right.
Because,
That's right.
A big cat's going to live 20 years, a bear's going to live 30 years. So as a sanctuary, you've got to, know that you're going to provide for that animal and provide for it properly for the rest of that animal's life.
So people listening might be thinking, Bobbi, why don't you put the bear back in, the woods in Oregon or something? Like,
that's a really good question, because no animal will go to a sanctuary that can be re-released back into the wild. And all of these animals have been bottle fed. They're all captive bred, and they can't go back into the wild, unfortunately.
A lot declawed,
which is super sad. And, we do have a little, sometimes a surgery that we can do that helps relieve the pain, but it doesn't always work. And it's it costs us $5,000 to $7,000 each time we do the surgery. And we have to drive the animal, which can be a little bit stressful. And it's like about a 3 or 4, day ordeal with the recovery and everything for them. So it's not easy on them, especially if they're, already being moved across the country. So we're just trying to get all the declawing
has happened, it still hurts them?
Oh, yeah, they go on to get more and more pain as they get older. And matter of fact, one of the leopards we brought down from South Dakota couldn't even put weight on her front feet. And we've done 2 surgeries on her now, and she can actually put complete weight on her front feet, but you can still tell, even with a little bit of pain medicine every day, she's still hurting. So it's
so is this the same?
Cruelty.
I mean, take it right down to your basic house cat. Is it the same thing for them?
It's the same thing, and cats try not to show pain. And it's just very proven all the damage that you do to even your little house cat by declawing. So please don't declaw your cat.
Yeah, please don't declaw your cat. We don't want them in pain. That's horrible. I mean, if you don't want people wrecking your furniture, don't get a cat. I mean, that's just the bottom line there, I would think. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. I had no idea about that. Did you know about that, Malaika?
Nope.
Do you have any pets?
We had 2 birds, but one died and the other flew away. So currently petless.
Petless. Okay. Petless. I always think of that tiger from Life of Pi, which was just absolutely beautiful photography. But that representation, I mean, they're stunning animals, and I'm just so happy that they have a home with you and other folks who are accredited. Make sure if you're going to go pay money to see something, and most places don't, don't give money to somebody.
I love the end of the movie, The Life of Pi, when the tiger gets off the boat and never looks back.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you. They're wild animals.
They're wild. And you know what? Their thought is beyond their next meal, not loving you. So that's about it. When we're going to go to a commercial break in about a minute, but there's so much more to talk to you about with these animals and all of the challenges that you have, the people who volunteer with you and work with you. I want to know all about that. I'm sure everybody listening does too. If you want to call us, you can. It's 903-787-5887, 903-787-5887. If you want to talk to Bobbi or Malaika, you can give us a call. No worries there. We'd like to hear from you. You have more animals that live with you other than lions, tigers, and bears. You have a whole menagerie. So we'll talk about those as well. Do you have a personal pet?
I do. I have 3 cats, Macy, Munch, and Max. They live in my house with my husband, Mark. Okay,
nice. Okay, we're going to go commercial break. When we come back, Macy, Munch, and what was the last one? Max. Okay, there we go. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.
2 boys.
FrankieSense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
When airplanes first began carrying passengers, everyone was treated to first-class accommodations. Caviar and sandwiches were presented on porcelain plates, with beverages served in crystal. Flying was truly a special event, as passengers wore suits and evening dresses. What do you call a person who is afraid to fly? An aeroacrophobic. The airlines required stewardesses to be unmarried, and many were nurses as well. To be a pilot was respected and revered. What do you call a person who chooses a career based on the glamorous image it conveys? A Modoc. A typical flight in those days from London to Singapore would cost over $17,000 today and take 8 days. What's another word for jet lag? Dysrhythmia.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Word.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
If strengthening your muscles is your primary goal, is it better to do yoga or Pilates? The New York Times reported that the answer depends mainly on what you are trying to strengthen. Studies show that Pilates is an effective method to fortify the muscles of the abdominal wall. They question whether it strengthens the rest of the body, though. However, they state that yoga with its fluid poses may strengthen larger sections of the body. A study published in the Asian Journal of Sports Medicine found that after 6 months of almost daily yoga sun salutations and no other resistance training, the participants could bench press significantly more weight and complete more push-ups and pull-ups than at the beginning of the study. They state that yoga is the winner. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. Like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
And we're back as FrankieSense More. I am your host, Frankie Picasso. We're here with my guest, Malaika Gilani. Remember, she wrote the book Untold Journeys, and talking to Bobbi Brink, she founded Lions, Tigers, and Bears, and I just love that name. That inspires a poem for sure, or a song, or a whole bunch of stuff. We were just talking about, folks, if you have a house cat, even, please do not declaw it. They have pain, residual pain that lasts and becomes worse over years. So that was something I didn't know. I don't have cats, but I didn't know that, and it makes me very sad to think that, you know, people have done that to an animal not deserving. So hopefully that practice will stop. And I don't understand why vets do it. Like, don't they tell people that this is going to hurt?
Well, I don't think a lot of them know the long-term, consequences after the cat is declawed. And there's actually a wonderful vet. Her name is Dr. Jennifer Conrad, and she just goes around to like vet conferences and seminars and try to educate the vets on what happens. And we are trying to actually get the vets to know that we don't want to declaw small cats either, and why.
Okay. All right.
And she is actually the vet that helps me do the big cat surgery on the big cat feet. Same vet.
Okay. So what do they do? Like, what can they, like, release some tension, or what is it that they would do?
Pretty much like they go in and clip off and clean up a little bit, because they cannot be fixed, because it's like cutting off the, at the knuckle. It'd be like cutting your finger off behind your fingernail.
Right.
It's very painful.
Right.
So it can't, it can't be fixed, but at least sometimes we can release the pain.
Yeah.
Per se.
So
and
sad.
every time we do a surgery, 50-50 chance, And a lot of people think cats can't be trained, house cats. They can. So if you have a cat that's scratching up something, if you really work with that animal, you can get them to stop scratching something.
Yeah. What? How much does the average cat weigh? Like your tigers, let's say.
It depends on the species. It can range. Like, we have a leopard that weighs 90 pounds, and we have a lion that weighs 610 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I think our
that's a lot of anesthetic.
Yeah, 500.
That's a lot of anesthetic.
They're big animals. We have a bear that weighs 700. So it kind of depends. And we rescue everything. We have lions, tigers, bears, leopards, serval, bobcat, miniature horses, miniature donkey, macaw, goat, sheep, llama. So we focus on the lions, tigers, and bears, but we love all animals.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got 8 donkeys I sponsor, I think. The poor donkeys. They get abused really, really badly too, with their hooves, and people forget to clip them, and then they become hobbled. And every species has something, so we have to look out for them all. But with specifically what you got, you've got very dangerous exotic animals. And how do you keep safety? Like, what's your safety plan in place for volunteers?
We just had one this morning. We have safety meetings every Thursday, and then we have practices on different days and plans. And the fire department comes out, and they have us mapped, and we practice at least twice a year. And this year we're doing a little bit more because it's so fire crazy here right now. And we just do different things to and we make games out of it, and we just do whatever we can to constantly be talking about safety. And we work in the buddy system. It's like one person will move an animal from the habitat into what we call the bedroom, so we can lock them up, and then they're safely locked in the bedroom, and we can enter the habitat with no animals. So, like, one person will do that, the other person will follow behind and check the locks, and double check everything. So it's just double check. It just can't be too safe. Yeah.
And where did the practice come from? Like, your good practices? Was there other facilities that you learned from, or?
Exactly. And when I first started with the lady I started with, we started off in the cages with all the animals. Very dangerous. And I'm very fortunate to have not gotten hurt. But it can be done both ways. My way's safer.
Sure.
We call it protective contact.
Have you ever had an accident on site?
No, we have not.
Knock on wood, thank God.
Super safety conscious, and always talking about things. And every Thursday morning, we cover a safety topic. And we always have a piece of chain link or fencing between us and the animal, unless the animal is actually sedated and laying on a vet table, always.
Sure. And how many, you've got 93 acres, how many people actually are on site every day?
Well, I have 13 staff, and 6 of them are keepers and ground crew. And then there's 4 people who live on site. Actually, there's 5 people who live on site, and there's always somebody on the property 24 hours a day.
And you have a vet on call, or who's there every day?
We have 9 different vets that we work with. So like you even have a skin doctor and a dentist, and you know, our head vet is Dr. Jane Meyer and Dr. Lee Young, and that's who we work with for our vets. We've got a little surgery center on site.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. So, you know, it must cost a fortune.
It's expensive. It's about
cheap.
Right. Building the habitats, I think, is the most expensive expense. And then our highest bill, of course, is electricity, because all the pools have to pump and the freezers and, you know, everything has to pump. And then it's about $10,000 a year to feed one tiger or one bear just for food.
That's just food. Now, I noticed on your website that for the cats, you've thrown in like a chicken carcass, or what else do you feed them?
We rotate meat so they don't get bored. So we feed rabbit, duck, beef, pork, chicken, elk, buffalo. They pretty much eat any kind of raw meat.
Now, is it frozen, or do you defrost it?
We do usually freeze it, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's important that they have those bones and all of that for... Exactly.
Taurine, super important, and calcium.
Yeah. Now, I noticed there's a trend here lately, Malaika, I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of kangaroo coming for, a lot of dogs have allergies, and they're switching up with kangaroo now to help with those allergies. Have you had anything like that on your premises?
No,
Bobbi?
I don't know much about that for the big cats. I just haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I guess along with everything else, animals all have allergies too. My dog's allergic to cheese and pork. So, you know, you learn it by just seeing what their body does after they eat it. So it's kind of interesting. And so the cats will eat that. What do you feed your bears?
They eat what we should eat. They eat raw fruits, raw vegetables, cooked meats, raw fish, raw nuts, dates, things like that. Avocado. They love avocados.
Oh, do they? That's so sweet. And so how much now do your bears hibernate at all?
I do have 2 bears that try to hibernate. They go up in the culverts and on the hill in their den, but they get up and eat, so they don't truly hibernate here.
Okay. Is it because of the weather, because it's hot?
Covered with snow. Well, our ground's not covered with snow, so they always have access to food. They can always, go out and eat the grass or just go out and graze.
Sure. Yeah. Interesting. So what are some of your biggest challenges? I mean, it's $10,000 per animal to feed. The facility itself to put it together must have cost a fortune beyond the land itself, all the fencing and your surgery and just all of those different habitats for everybody. Where's the money come from?
Well, fundraising is always our hugest challenge. And we just had our biggest gala here last weekend. So that'll raise a couple months operating costs. And we do mailings, and we do a lot of e-blast emails and Facebook and tabling out in the community. We have events out here, just little regular things that people can pay to come to. And then we have our educational visits, which are about 2 hours. We have 6 of them a week, and they're about 2 hours each, and that helps to raise a lot of our operating costs. So we just do everything we can to fundraise, and it seems to be working.
So what would you need in a month, though? Let's say operating costs. I don't want to get into nitty-gritty with you. I'm just really curious, for people who go, should I give them money? What do you need?
Well, our operating costs about $75,000 a month.
How much?
And then $75,000 a month.
Wow, that's a lot of moolah.
It's a lot because we have a lot of animals and a lot, so that each animal has to have their keepers who care for them and their food and all their supplements and all their medical care
for 20 to 30 years.
Right. If we do one surgery within a month, that's usually about $5,000 that we'll spend on medical for, whichever other animals we work on in that same day too.
Do you have a corporate benefactor or a few of them?
We actually have, a lot of really nice donors, but believe it or not, our funds come from the people who send in, and it just adds up. $50, $100, $200, and they send in their donation every month or as we send out mailings and appeals, and it adds up and it works. It just shows when you give a little, it can go a long ways, because those little donations, they really do add up to make what we're doing work. Even when we go across the country and we put out an appeal, it costs us a little over $3 a mile to do what we do. So sometimes we just write it like that. How many miles can you give? Can you give 20 miles times 3, or whatever. And it adds up and it works.
That's awesome.
So like when
That's
people
amazing.
think they can't really do much, helping us share our posts on Facebook is huge. Does that just
do you get money from overseas as well, or is it local, more North America?
Sometimes a little bit, but most of our donors are from the United States.
Yeah. Okay.
We got some, especially like when we brought Fivos, the tiger, over from Greece. When he came, we got some Greece donations, and we do get some international donations on Facebook. But that's a huge way if people are animal lovers. The best thing that people can
do for you is to share. And
yeah, exactly. Just get on our Facebook, like and share, and share. And that, that just helps more people who can help know about us.
And what's the most popular item in your store, let's say, for people to purchase that helps?
Usually T-shirts, or we call them bling shirts, like the women's have the bling on the front. I think that's honestly what we sell the most of.
That's awesome. I love it. But you also sell mugs, and you sell pictures of the animals. I want to get back to talk about that when we come back from our break. We've got a minute before we go to break.
Okay. Yeah, we have all kinds of stuff. Coffee cups, mugs, lions, tigers, and bears coffee. We're working on getting wine with our label, T-shirts, jackets, stickers, all kinds of stuff, magnets.
Malaika, would you like something like that? Would you buy something like that to help the lions, tigers, and bears?
I would.
Yeah?
Except for way too much. They don't even do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Okay, folks. Well, we are going to go to a commercial break. It's FrankieSense More. I'm your host, Frankie Picasso. Bobbi is with us, and Malaika is with us. And when we come back, you're going to be with us too. Don't go anywhere, because we will be back. You can join us, 903-585-7887.
Heck no. We're just getting warmed up. FrankieSense More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's Merging Never Heard.
I managed to run out of coffee again this morning. I didn't even have enough to make 1 cup. Boy, was that a miskabobble or big mistake, because I make serious coffee, so strong it wakes up the neighbors. Now, I don't have a problem with caffeine. I have a problem without caffeine. I get wadgety and burkety. Did you know apples are more efficient than coffee for keeping people awake in the morning? Unfortunately, I didn't have any apples either. Acorns were used as a coffee substitute during the American Civil War. Without my hot cup of coffee in the morning, I'm feeling pretty squirrely myself. What do you call that piece of cardboard that wraps around your coffee cup to keep from burning your hand? A zarf.
It's Merging Never Heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Turkey breast, fish, cheese, beans, and eggs are packed with protein. And protein-rich foods digest slowly and have a mild impact on your blood sugar levels. A New England Journal of Medicine study looked at a variety of eating plans and discovered that eating a diet high in protein and low in refined starches was the most effective for weight loss. Protein helps in 2 ways. First, you burn more calories to digest it. Second, because your body has to work harder to digest a protein than a carb, you stay fuller longer. In a recent European study, people who ate moderately high levels of protein were twice as likely to lose weight and keep it off as those who didn't eat much protein. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. Visit our Facebook fan page at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
we're back. It's FrankieSense More. We're going to say goodbye to Malaika. She was, as I said, it was 3 a.m. for her in Melbourne, Australia, and she was a little under the weather today. So we sent her back to bed with our good wishes and our great thanks for coming on the show with her book, Untold Journeys. Please go and find her book and do what you can to support her. We're sitting here with Bobbi Brink, though, and we're still talking about lions, tigers, and bears and her sanctuary and what the rest of us can do to help endangered species, the exotic animal trade, and especially those that Bobbi cares for. And just before break, or while we were on break, we spoke a moment about what you can do to, if you see somebody who is abusing an animal, Bobbi really would love for you to call her. So Bobbi, tell us, what you mean when you say abuse. Like how far?
Well, let's say someone who has a tiger in their backyard, or you've frequented a roadside zoo as you're on vacation or you're traveling and, the animal's just not living in the proper conditions, you could just call us and we can, check it out and try to help you to get that animal out of there or, do what's best for the animal. A lot of times people don't know how to help.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a moment, because let's say I am at a roadside zoo or a little zoo and I'm looking at the animal going, you know what, this animal is way too skinny or way too whatever. What can you do, Bobbi? Like how are you going to remove that animal legally, or like what are the steps?
Well, that's the hard part. A lot of times they are following the laws, even though it doesn't look good, they are following the laws. So each particular case is different, but one thing I can tell people is, if they're doing the photo ops where you can have your picture taken with a baby animal, there's really not one legitimate place in this country that does that. So a lot of those animals are just bred for nothing more than profit and to be used to have their pictures taken. And they'll tell you they're a sanctuary, or they'll tell you it's for conservation, or they'll tell you that they have a place where the animal's going to go when it gets too old, because legally they can only use that animal till it's 12 weeks old. And then they have to replace it with another one to keep their business going. So I'm sure you can imagine the turnover of babies.
Yeah.
And this is, what I believe probably fuels the exotic animal trade. And a lot of the unnecessary breeding.
Why? Okay, money, like you said, it was hugely profitable. Right. But what do people do with those animals? Like, do they just let them die in their care? Like, is that really what they do? Like mounds and mounds of dead animals, or what else do they sell them for food? Like, what do they do with these exotic animals?
It's a really good question, because there's not good enough federal tracking. There's no federal tracking to tell how many of these animals these people have actually had, and how many have turned over, and how many have gone through their hands. And that's the really sad, part. Yeah. Even if you are federally licensed to exhibit to the public, you're only going to get an inspection once a year. So, you can breed a tiger in 105 days. So you can have quite a few turnover animals that nobody would even know about or know where they go.
How many cubs would she have? 2?
Max, who?
A tiger?
1 to 4. 1 to 4.
1 to 4.
Yeah, so 2 to 3 average, yeah.
Wow.
So it's a lot. I've been to places where they're doing cub petting and they have 20 babies.
Oh.
It's sad. So sad.
And they're like, this is fundraising for the rest?
It's just a way for them to make money. Babies sell tickets. That's why you see babies at zoos, and the babies sell the tickets. And as they get to be adults, they'll live 20 years. Yeah. And that it wears off, and they start to run out of money, and they get desperate. So they just continue to breed and continue to try doing the photo ops. So please don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. When people, if they want to visit your sanctuary, I think you have one of the fundraising items is that they can pay a certain amount and then they can come and visit.
Right.
Is that
And we do it during feeding time, and the animals are fed like a weighed diet, and it takes about 2 hours. And you go around with a keeper, and just the keeper will tell you all about the animal and what we do, and you get time to ask questions and just the opportunity to enjoy the animals and enjoy our property, because it really is very beautiful here.
What do your neighbors think about having a sanctuary?
Well, I don't really have any neighbors. I'm a almost 3-side forest. And then the front neighbors, I bought the property from their family. So, our closest neighbor is probably a couple hundred acres away at least.
Okay.
At least.
So a little bit of a safety zone if something happened.
Right. We're pretty rural. Out where we live, it's very rural.
It's beautiful. I looked at the pictures of the town and the land around there. It really is beautiful.
We love it here. The weather's perfect.
You're very fortunate. Absolutely. Yeah. So, where's the most money in the exotic trade? Is it with the cats?
I believe the body parts and selling the animals, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
And
I know the bears, and I know that I spoke to you about Rob Laidlaw at the beginning of the show, that he was the one who said, yeah, you're accredited, because I know he's done a lot of work in China with the bears that are tied up and trying to release them and all that kind of crappy stuff that they do over there, with, thinking that it provides sexual energy or all of that, crazy stuff, good health tonics, animal parts. It's very, very sad.
Take a Viagra.
Pardon?
Take a Viagra. What do we need to kill an animal for? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not even proven. None of those.
It's crazy.
Are even proven.
How important is it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's pretty insane to kill an animal. I just don't get it. But I'm not a hunter either, so it's not on my list.
Right. Well, and it's not hunting. Like, these are bottle raised babies that have been captive bred, and raised by human hands and have learned to trust humans. And then they're going to be put in a cage, and someone's going to walk up and shoot them, and they don't even have a place to run and hide. That's, to me, that's not even hunting, or they're farm raised for nothing more than to be shot. That's not hunting.
No, that's not hunting.
That's no sport whatsoever.
And that's the other thing is that, there's no petting at your facility. They're not pets.
Right.
And so the non-contact with animals, I think that's really important to stress, that that you're at a right place if there is no contact.
Right, exactly.
And that's not just for their safety.
Right, it's for both. It's for the animal safety and for our safety, because if somebody gets hurt, then a lot of times that animal has the risk of being put down, and then we've totally defeated our purpose trying to protect the animal.
Yeah.
And doing rescues, you don't know what that animal's been through in the beginning of their life. It's not like you've had it since a baby working with and training that animal.
But you have had your lions from the time they were a baby, Bakar and his sisters?
Yep, they have, but we cut off, the human contact. Like, we just wean them off of it, because you have to wean the animal off of it too, because it's all they know too.
Sure.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
When
a mom would do
babies,
the same thing in the wild, right? They're not going to really hang out.
Exactly.
Like, bear cubs don't stick with their moms. They become loners, and if they see them again, maybe dad will kill them. They don't know, right? That's how it is.
Exactly.
So.
And that's one of the reasons that we feed the animals on our visits when people are here, because then the animal has the choice if they want to interact with the people or not. So they don't have to do here. They don't have to do anything they don't want to do. If they want to come up, they come up. If they don't, they don't.
Right.
And, 90% of the time they come up because they enjoy it too.
Yeah. And so people just talk to them?
Yeah, you can just talk to them through the fence or,
Yeah. Do you have a favorite?
Tara was actually probably one of my favorites. And Conga, I love Conga, and I love Albert. They're probably my favorites, but I love them all. I love all animals.
Sure. Yeah. And who names them? Who gets to name them? Or do they come with names? Or
it depends. Like the lions were people bid at our fundraiser.
Nice.
And Maverick, we were watching Top Gun when we got the call for Maverick on Easter Day. So we went up and got him on 2:00 in the morning for U.S. Fish and Wildlife, so we called him Maverick. It just kind of depends. A couple of the volunteers have named, and a lot of them have come with their names. Like Maddie and Sugar Bear, they came with their names. Blossom and Delilah, they came with their names. Albert, matter of fact, most all of our bears have come with their names.
What happens? Like, what's your legacy for your sanctuary? What plans are in place, and who's going to take over when, God forbid, we all die off? So,
right. Well, there's a lot of contingency plans, including money like life insurance and key persons insurance and things like that. And right now it's my board would take over, and my sister would kind of step into my house and and help and take over. But, my sister's only 5 years younger than I am, so as we get older, that plan could change, but we definitely stay on top of that one. Because, the what if something happens to myself, this place has to go on.
That's right. Yes.
Right.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people who, are listening, and people that already that would be willing to step in and do what it takes to keep these animals. There's a lot of animal lovers across North America. That's for sure. But you want to make sure it's the right person. So it's really important. I think it's amazing, what you've done. And if you want to visit her website, it's lionstigersandbears.org. Go there and just see what an amazing facility it is. Like, you've done a beautiful job. It's these animals are living like they should, and being well cared for like they should, because it's
I have a really good
beginnings.
team. We have such a good team here, and there's so much love. There's so much love for the animals, and that's what makes it work. I met Martine, the guy that works for me, on the corner one day, and he'd never worked around a big animal, and he's been with me for 13 years now, and he's one of my best keepers, and he loves the animals. So just, you never know. He's lived here almost 13 years now.
And if somebody's listening and they go, "Oh, Bobbi, I really, really, really want to work for you, or volunteer there," what can they do?
They can just get online, and under the ways to help, there's a volunteer page, and fill out the applications for our insurance, and then send it in, and Alyssa calls and get them out here to volunteer.
Well, I'm going to encourage everybody who is listening to A, visit your website, B, somehow become a member, adopt one of the animals. I think that's a great gift. My kids are older, they don't need things, so I adopt animals for them in their need on holidays and stuff like that. I just think it's great, and for my grandkids too. You know what? Compassion is something that we are having to teach these days. It's unfortunate, but it's true, and that's one way I think that people can do that. We've got a minute left, I think. What would you like to tell people?
One more time, get on the website, click on the Facebook, like on the Facebook, and when you see us post, share. That's a huge help. And just be careful which organizations that you give to. Look for the accredited ones. There's a reason for accreditation, and the reason, why people are not accredited if you're going to give your money. And, just every little bit helps, and thank you.
We're out of time. That's Bobbi Brink. You're listening to Bobbi Brink from lionstigersandbears.org. Thank you, Bobbi.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
She not you, she the one way to turn